At 70, she finally said what everyone's been wondering, and it wasn't what people expected. At 70 years old, Reba McEntire isn't interested in rumors anymore. She's lived too much, lost too much, and learned too much to stay silent. And now, she's finally opening up about one of the most talked about relationships in country music, her connection with Kelly Clarkson. But to understand why her words matter, you have to understand where she came from. Reba's story doesn't begin on a stage, it begins in the dust and grit of Oklahoma. Raised in a rodeo family, with a champion steer-roping father and a schoolteacher mother, she learned early on that hard work wasn't optional, it was survival. Music wasn't a dream back then, it was just part of life. Car rides filled with harmony, small performances, and a voice that slowly, but surely, began to stand out. Her big break came in 1974, singing the national anthem at a rodeo. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't planned. But it changed everything. The road to fame wasn't instant. In fact, it was frustratingly slow. Early songs barely made a ripple. But Reba didn't quit. She kept pushing, kept refining, and by the 1980s, everything changed. Her voice wasn't just powerful, it was honest. Songs about heartbreak, resilience, and real life connected with people in a way that felt personal. By the 90s, she wasn't just successful, she was unstoppable. But behind the spotlight, life wasn't always steady. She faced heartbreak, divorce, and devastating loss, including the tragic plane crash in 1991 that took members of her band. And yet, through it all, she kept going. Not because it was easy, but because it was who she was. And maybe that's why, years later, she recognized something familiar in a young singer who burst onto the scene in 2002. Kelly Clarkson. Reba remembers it clearly. A young woman with a voice so strong it could stop you in your tracks, but more importantly, a heart that came through every single note. She had that rare gift, Reba would later say. The kind that doesn't come around often. What started as mutual respect quickly turned into something deeper. They shared stages, laughter, and eventually, family ties when Kelly married into Reba's extended family. And for a while, it seemed like everything aligned perfectly. But life has a way of rewriting the script. When Kelly's marriage ended in a very public and painful divorce, people assumed lines would be drawn. That loyalties would shift. That relationships would fracture. But Reba made something very clear. She didn't choose sides. Instead, she chose compassion. Divorce is hard, she admitted. No matter who you are. And then came the truth that silenced the rumors once and for all. Her love and respect for Kelly never changed. Not for a moment. She's one of the strongest women I know, Reba said. A wonderful mother. An incredible artist. And someone I'll always care about. For Reba, family isn't defined by paperwork or changing last names. It's defined by connection, by shared history, by love that doesn't just disappear when life gets complicated. And maybe that's what makes her words so powerful. Because they're not polished for headlines. They're not crafted for attention. They're real. At 70, Reba McEntire isn't just telling her story, she's reminding everyone that relationships don't have to end just because circumstances change. Sometimes, they just evolve. And sometimes, the strongest bonds are the ones that refuse to break, no matter what.